Okay, we're going to be looking at an app today from Cambridge called the Phrasal Verb Machine. A couple of things to note before talking about the app. Firstly, for some reason there are two versions of this in the App Store, the Google Play Store, sorry. And for some, one of them's got the before it and one of them doesn't. No idea why. Maybe it's a regional thing, but it seems like either of them can be installed. Secondly, when you install it, you need to make sure you have another app installed called Adobe Air. You'll be prompted to do this, but just be aware you need both of the app itself and Adobe Air for it to run properly. It's available on both Android and iPhone, iPad, and so you can install on either platform. Okay, let's take a look at the app. Phrasal verbs are always an interesting aspect of language. Students find them quite difficult, so let's just turn the music down a little bit. So anything which will encourage students to look at these and learn these has got to be a reasonably good thing. So we're in the app itself now. You can see it's a very pretty app. It's got this kind of theme of sort of an oldie-worldy machine, and that's the sort of animations throughout reflect that. So let's have a look at what you can do with this. This is the thing to choose your option. And to be honest with you, although it looks very fancy, there's a fairly limited number of things you can do with this. You can look at some phrasal verbs, and this is how you do that. Just click open here. You can see on the left we've got these sort of rotating dials, and you can just move them, and you can move the preposition as well. And you click view. And then this will show you a little animation of the phrasal verb, and at the bottom you can see there's the meaning and an example with it. I'm not always sure that the animation accurately represents the, let's have a look at that again. So, for example, this is move on. This is supposed to be demonstrating doing something different, which I suppose is okay, but not a particularly kind of relevant example. To do with circus and changing your job. So let's have a look at a few others. Let's change some verbs. So sometimes you'll have more than one prepositioning. So you've got here pick up and pick out. So pick out, and we can view that. There we go. Pick out. The only thing I would say about the phrasal verbs is they seem a fairly random collection of phrasal verbs, and they seem largely chosen based perhaps on the ability to illustrate them rather than their usefulness. This is a recurring theme of ESL apps. You often get interesting apps, but they don't always select the most useful language for students. A good example of this would be something like, let's find it, render down, which again it's a very specific meaning and very limited use of this phrasal verb. So this is to melt fat in order to make it purer, which, okay, if you're into cooking is probably useful, but on a general day-to-day level not a massively useful phrasal verb. And when you go through, they really don't seem to be selected on any basis other than perhaps the ability to illustrate them through a neat little animation. So that's what you can do in terms of viewing phrasal verbs. The only other thing you can do are exercises. And really there's only one exercise as such, and this is where you look at a picture of an animation of a phrasal verb, and then all you do is then choose the one which you think is illustrated, then it tells you whether you got it right or wrong. Let's try and get one wrong. Let's go to the next one. So, okay. Let's say go out. Go, okay. Answer is wrong. Okay. We can try again. Move on to the next one. Fill in. And so it carries on like this. It's essentially just multiple choice. It's just done in a very fancy, clever way. And there we go. And that's really the two things you can do. You can look at some animations of and illustrated sentences and meanings of phrasal verbs, and you can do these basic multiple choice exercises. Obviously it's done in a nice and friendly and pretty and animated way, which obviously is attractive for students. Again though, a little bit of a shame that the sort of the pedagogy and the choice of phrasal verbs is not really based on any system of usefulness or frequency, and more based on, you know, how can this best be illustrated in this app, or how can we use the mechanics and prettiness of the app to illustrate this. So I'm hoping at some point in the future we're going to start getting both. We're going to start getting both the sort of usefulness and frequency, and also an attractive app at the same time. But I think it's early days for these companies. They're trying to work out how to build these apps, and hopefully at some point they'll start building really super useful apps.